Hi guys, this is Vicki Cragen, Legion's Realty, Southwest Washington's Realtor Extraordinaire. Anyway, I am here with my You Don't Know What You Don't Know Until You Know It series of vlogs, and this is my spiel on mold, encapsulate versus eradicate. I am here with Mark with Certified Indoor Environmental. This company's awesome and they believe in eradication and getting to the root cause. Mark, tell us a little bit about mold.
So the things that are important for anybody who's purchasing a home is to understand that you need to remove it from the structure, not paint over it. And that's just according to the EPA. So most buyers, or when they're purchasing a home and there's mold up in the attic, all of a sudden they're a little bit scared, because mold can be scary if you're not educated. And so what we try to do is basically educate them and understand that mold is not that scary, especially in the attic. It really doesn't cause a health issue inside the actual structure. And so by educating people, they understand that it's not that scary, and therefore they can go on with the process of buying the home.
Well, it is pretty scary when you go into a house that you're wanting to buy and this is what the walls look like.
I would not live in that environment until it's at least clean, all right, but it can be treated. So what we look like for in the industry itself is it visible mold and it's condensation, meaning it's surface mold, or whether there's something more in depth that needs to be dealt with. In the interiors, we run into a lot of bathroom mold. That bathroom mold is just basically condensation mold, and so we can clean that effectively without having to, rip out the drywall or anything of that nature. And you want to make sure that you're removing the mold, which includes the root structure, the hyphae, and not just painting over it, because then it'll grow back fast.
Okay, so the kills, big jar of kills, that's encapsulating it.
I love the name.
I know,
right?
It's a great name.
But kills doesn't kill mold, all right? It basically paints over it. And when you do that, you leave behind what they call the root structure, or the hyphae of the mold. And that root structure will allow the mold to grow back much faster than if you actually remove it.
Okay.
So it's important to remove that rather than just paint over it.
So, okay, from a realtor's point of view, we always tell people, get a home inspection, get a home inspection. You want to know what you're getting into. It's the single most biggest purchase you're ever going to make in your life. And you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on this purchase. You need an inspection. What if during your inspection, they call out mold?
Yes! Oh, well.
He likes that. Good business.
Not necessarily a good thing for the homeowner, but the reality is it's not that scary. Most of the time, we find 96% of the time when the home inspector calls out mold, it's up in the attic. And so our goal is to go up and find what the root cause is. And attic is just simply condensation from hot air rising, hitting that really cold surface, and then it creates enough moisture for mold to grow. So hot day like today, we're outside, glass of ice water, we get that condensation. That's what's happening in the attic.
My pop right now.
Yeah. So if we're fixing it, which is the root cause, we got to fix it. Otherwise, it's just going to come back. No matter how well any company remediates it, it'll come back. We haven't addressed the cause. So attic's pretty much simple. It's usually a ventilation issue. So hot air is rising up into the attic. There's not enough ventilation to allow it to escape up through the vents. And so ventilation is very important, and so we do ventilation as well as remediation, removing the mold, to make sure it doesn't come back.
So as part of your process then, if I'm a buyer Vicky, I go and get a report from my inspector saying you have mold in the attic, or it appears like you have mold in the attic, then I'm going to request from the seller that they fix it. The problem with that is most of the time the seller's just going to get himself a can of kills and go spread it on the mold in the attic. And it doesn't kill the mold, and it doesn't fix the problem of how the mold got there. So when I call you or have my agent contact you, you will come out and give us a bid of what it's going to take to kill it and fix it.
Yes, we do about 2,500 attic inspections a year. So
Nice.
Obviously we're pretty experienced on identifying what the cause is and how to correct it. So we're usually out there within 24 to 48 hours. It's a free inspection. We identify what the cause is. So if it's ventilation, we're going to come up with a ventilation plan to make sure or ensure it doesn't come back. The biggest thing that happens in this industry is that most companies just go in and paint over it.
Yep.
And so it doesn't matter what company you have. Did they do the job right? We don't know. They painted over it. We can't tell at that point whether it's been done correctly or not.
Yeah.
So in all likelihood, it's going to come back. What the homeowner doesn't really understand is that every company will give you a warranty. That warranty is good for maybe 36 months, 5 years. There are some lifetime warranties out there. But they're void if you haven't fixed the moisture source. And so that's what happens. They give you this long warranty. Hey, I've given you a 5-year warranty, except for as soon as there's mold up there, because mold needs moisture to grow, that warranty is void.
And we have a lot of moisture in the Pacific Northwest. We're famous for it. And a lot of people moving up from warmer climates like California have no idea what they're walking into here, and they don't know. And that's why we're doing this. You don't know what you don't know. So when you come out, and you're talking about ventilation, that would be the little screens that you have, and usually you got the little bird holes,
Yeah,
like
little
3
round
bird
bird
holes.
blocks.
Okay,
Yes.
so
Those are called, we just make it real simple. Intake ventilation, meaning coming through, and then the exhaust is at the peak. So intake and exhaust, and they need to be balanced, 50-50, meaning that airflow, 50% of it is through your intake and 50% at the peak.
So now, jumping to the other end of the house, your crawl space. You have ventilation blocks under your crawl space too.
Yes.
And around here, there's plugs you can buy at Home Depot or Lowe's, those nice styrofoam blocks that you can stick in there to keep your home warmer.
Yes.
Those are not good, are they?
No, they don't. What happens is during the winter months, basically you're blocking off the airflow, and so any moisture that's in there, it doesn't have a chance to escape or dry out. And so all that condensation, again, in the crawl space, has the potential to create mold underneath your insulation. And that gets really expensive because you got to drop the insulation in order to treat the mold. That insulation you can't put back because it's usually torn apart. So it's a really expensive process.
Yeah, so that's why especially those, I was out of town and talking to other realtors about vapor barriers, and I'm like, what the heck is a vapor barrier? It's like, you don't have vapor barriers in North Carolina? What's going on?
Different parts of the
Never
country
heard of
have
it.
different issues, but here vapor barriers are very important.
Yes, so vapor barriers, vapor barriers, and mold is a big thing around here. So if you're moving from down south, you gotta do your homework and make sure if you're selling and you think you might have mold, be proactive. Call somebody, call these guys. They are more than happy to come out and give you an estimate. Get it done, because you know what? Your buyers are probably going to call that out, and they're going to want you to fix it. So you might as well do it and do it right. You look good as a seller.
And the last tip I would say, be wary of anybody that wants to test for mold. Okay? The reality is the CDC says if you have mold, you need to remove it. So they don't recommend testing it. They recommend you spend that money, which is expensive to test, and use it on remediation. There are some rare exceptions, but in attics, we never test for mold up there.
So, okay, everybody, the magic word, black mold. Okay, most of the mold I see on the inside of walls, yes, it's black. Is that black mold, or is that...
Not necessarily, okay? Your attic mold typically is not black mold, or what they call Stachybotrys. It's probably an Aspergillus or a Cladosporium. All mold is potentially dangerous depending on who's exposed to it. So it's really an allergen. Some people have allergens to pollen, some people have allergens to pets. All right, we're all susceptible depending on our unique system. So normal healthy adults who are exposed to mold will have hay fever-like symptoms according to the CDC, the Center for Disease Control. So all mold, no matter what type it is, potentially dangerous depending on who's exposed to it, just needs to be removed.
Okay. So when you go in and kill it, I was
Well,
reading in
remove
your
it.
brochure. Okay, when you go in and remove it, I was reading that you also vacuum up the spores that are dead.
Yes. So part of the process of any company, whether it's us or somebody else, is one, identify the moisture source. Because if you fix the moisture source, you'll never have mold growth again.
Okay.
Okay, so that's number one. Identify the moisture source. Number two is basically removing the mold, and that's either through cleaning it, or if we have to, if the material is compromised, let's say we have drywall and it's swollen or it's crumbly, that has to be removed. Okay, and there you're thereby removing the mold with it. And then lastly, we try to treat the indoor air quality for the mold spores, which are basically the allergen. So it's kind of a three-step process.
Okay.
Identify the source, remove the visible mold, and then treat the indoor air quality, which is the source of the allergens.
Okay, that makes sense. If you guys want to see more about mold and this amazing thing that they do, it's crazy. You take that gray and white sheeting on the underside of your roof and it looks brand new when they're done. It's great. You guys have an awesome video on your website about mold and how to get rid of it. What's the website for them?
The website is www.certifiedie.com. I always encourage anybody who's hiring a contractor to look at the reviews of the other consumers.
Yes.
It's important. You'll get a feeling for, are they proactive? Every consumer that looks at that, we've got a 5-star plus rating for everything that we do. We're not infallible. We do make mistakes, but you know what? We're right there taking care of it right away. That's a good sign of a contractor.
Yes.
What are they going to do if they make a mistake?
Exactly. And I've used them personally. I sold a house to my sister that had significant mold in the attic from not enough ventilation, and we wrote it up in our inspection agreement. These guys came out, they did an estimate for us. We stapled that estimate to the inspection and say, we want these guys to fix it. This is how much it's going to cost. And it was easy. They came out and did it. The sellers paid for it. It was just part of the inspection addendum. You did the hard work by finding somebody and giving them a number, an exact number of what it's going to take to fix it. It makes it really easy that way.
Yeah. Now, you're an experienced realtor. What we liked about your repair addendum, and it's not only did you say hire a professional mold remediation contractor to remove the mold, but you also put in there identify the cause
Yes.
and correct it.
Yes.
All right, that's key when you have any kind of mold. It's making sure that you're identifying it and correcting it. All right, so that's what a good realtor does, and that's what you did in yours.
Well, thank you. Yeah, because and when you're asking, you don't ask in an inspection addendum. You say, you shall do this, not you will, or you want. We want you to do this. We want you to do whatever we want. It doesn't mean you have to. You need to put down, you shall do this with this company and make sure they fix the root problem, because mold is prevalent. It's not going away. We live in Washington or Oregon, and it's just a fact of life around here. So be proactive, guys. Call certified indoor specialist, certified indoor environmental, and give them a call. Their website's on here, and these guys will be your go-to people for realtors for getting those inspections and estimates, and for homeowners, do it. It's way worth your money. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And you guys have a great day.
You too.
Bye.